Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Yes!
Yay.
Do that. And tonight we were reviewing I Am Lisa from director Patrick Ray. We were a couple weeks back, we were like, well, this isn't a werewolf film. Now we have a werewolf film.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yay!
Yes,
we like our All right. What we're going to do is we're each going to go around and give our initial reaction to it, and then we're going to talk about the film for a little bit, and then we're going to wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. Yeah, I have the same thing. It's like
backwards.
Getting it backwards. So let's do that. But what film are we talking about? We are talking about I Am Lisa. It's available on Redbox beginning January 5th, 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. Streaming and DVD Blu-ray on March 16th, 2021. The director is Patrick Ray. The writer is Eric Winkler. The cast includes Kristen, Vaganos, Jennifer Seward, Manon, Halliburton, Carmen, Anello, Chris Bylsma. Why do I do this to myself? And many more. Sorry, Chris. All right. The synopsis is a sadistic small-town sheriff and her underlings brutalize Lisa and leave her for dead in the woods. Bitten by a werewolf and bestowed with supernatural abilities, can Lisa retain her humanity as she exacts revenge? And that sums it up pretty well. That does a good job of it, don't you think? I'm eager to hear what Dave thinks about that. One, he's been kind of out and about. And then I know that he loves werewolf films. But not only is Dave here, Dave Dreher, my buddy Dave Dreher. Say hi, Dave.
Hi, Doc.
Also joining us is, of course, my host, Jeff Mohr, co-host. How you doing, Jeff?
Making me laugh.
I'm biting my nails. Nail biting.
Biting your nails. Oh, that's another film.
Oh, boy.
That's another film of his. Yep. And, of course, joining us this week is Crystal Cleveland, Living Dead Girl. Crimson.
You forgot you didn't introduce us, right? Is that what? I love it. I love you so much. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
I never know if you intentionally changed the format or.
No. The funny thing is, nobody would have known had you not said anything.
Yeah, I know.
But now it's out there. All right.
I'm sorry.
Let's do this. Dave, you're up first, sir. What is your initial reaction to I Am Lisa?
Well, I've been kind of out of the loop here for the last couple of weeks, really since around Thanksgiving time. I haven't been paying much attention to what's been going on in the horror world. So I had no idea what the hell this even was when you said we were reviewing it today. And I literally just got done watching it like 15 minutes ago. So I did not know it was Patrick Ray, and I didn't know it was a werewolf movie. I thought maybe it was a Lisa Simpson documentary, but it is in fact a werewolf film. I like Patrick Ray a lot. I love Nailbiter. I really liked Arbor Demon.
Arbor Demon, yes.
Don't we? So this one kind of surprised me a little bit. I would have to say of that trilogy of films, this is probably my least favorite of his.
I can see that.
His I've seen. But with that being said, it's still not a bad film. He kind of goes a little heavier on the melodrama on this one, at least in my opinion. I could have used a little more creature fun, a little less teenage angst, and the drama. It seemed kind of forced at times to me, but a little slow in places. Sorry, Patrick. You know I love you, Patrick. It's kind of drug a little bit for me. I think ultimately at the end of the day, it kind of saves itself. I did enjoy the ending, the third reel, if you will, was pretty good. My first impression was I was pleasantly surprised yet slightly disappointed.
Ah, I like that. That's an interesting description. All right. Crystal
Yeah.
Cleveland, you're up next. What is your first reaction to I Am Lisa?
So I think it's a pretty typical revenge film as far as the story goes. You know, this outcast, and gets has a really traumatic experience as it happens, and they leave her for dead, and she's not dead. Surprise! And then she exacts revenge against everyone around her. Considering this film is on such a low budget, I think they did do a lot with what they had. I liked the acting a lot. I actually really liked the way that they handled the effects for the werewolf. I really enjoyed that. Actually, that's probably why I agree that the third act is the best act. There were some moments where the intimacy was kind of pulled away, but I guess with a lack of budget, the way that they shot the scene, the main scene, which is what everything is about, is very disconnected. So I wasn't really emotionally invested in her actually being hurt because it didn't come across as actually really happening because partially because of the way that it shot and the way that it was done. Not that I think that you should show more, but it just didn't feel real. So unfortunately, that kind of distracted me from the actual revenge part. Luckily, the bad people you hate anyway because they're just jerks. So that helps a bit. I was entertained, the whole time. I think it was a good film. I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was definitely not the best revenge film I've seen, but I mean, it was there. It was good. And for the budget, I think if you do take into account the budget, then they did a good job. They did a really good job. There's only so much you can do with what you have. So the acting was good. That's a big one.
Well,
so
a
yeah.
lot of times when you get on a micro budget, you might not have micro acting too, and
yeah. So
you don't
that
have
helped.
to,
Yeah. Thankfully, that wasn't a problem here. So, yeah. It go
like
in.
the soundtrack, too. Not to interrupt, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the soundtrack too. I think there was some really good original music in there that I thought was quite good.
And speaking of the sound, like they didn't have any acting issues, and I didn't hear any sound issues. That's two things with a super low budget that usually are. So yeah, it seemed like it cost more than what it did, and that's a good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Jeff Mercer, what is your first impression of I Am Lisa?
Well, I'm going to go kind of like right down the middle with Dave and Crystal in that I did enjoy it. I was slightly disappointed, but knowing that it's a micro budget, I try to think about that, and that's going to affect the number of cameras you have and the number of takes you have and the schedule and the special effects, and it probably affects the story, right, in order to be able to do things. And I think that might have had a big effect on the story, which then had an effect on the special effects. I don't know that for sure, but I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm kind of like Dave too. There was some rough spots maybe that might have benefited from more takes or from different editing or something. I'm not really sure, but I really like the story. I like that idea, and I kind of wonder if this isn't like in the area of his film Nailbiter has something similar that happens when storms come around, and it's set in Kansas, and so this just kind of made me wonder. Even though those creatures are different, they're not really werewolves, but they definitely anyway. I kind of like the variation on it, that they didn't really know for sure a lot of things about what was going to happen. They had to kind of try it out. So I'm kind of like the actors. I loved Manon Halliburton. She was awesome as the sheriff.
Very slimy. Very slimy.
Yes, she was good, and they were all good. You know, the lead was good, and so yeah, I enjoyed it, and I was okay with the effects. You know, you're not going to get any big monster practical effects transformation scene, but that's a function of the budget more than likely. So, but the ones that are there work. They certainly work.
Right, yeah, because they take a very minimalistic approach to the werewolf, which is fine.
I like that. Yeah, I didn't have a problem with that at all.
You know, you get some claw action, you get the eyes in the face and some fangs, which is I tend to enjoy my werewolves more bipedal than so it's fine. I enjoyed this film, and it works more as the drama than it does really a werewolf film, but it's what really makes the film work are the cast. The cast really bring the film alive, especially the three bad guys, like you said, Manon, Halliburton, excuse me, Carmen, Anello as her daughter, and Chris Bylsma as Deputy Nick. His and they're just the reddest, slimiest.
Yeah,
they're the ones you fear of, right? When you're traveling across country.
This is why I don't like small towns.
Right. I do like the lead actress too, Kristen Vaganos. I thought she was really good in this, and you felt for her, and you wanted to follow her and root for her. There are some things that bother me. I wasn't sure about the relationship she had with Sam, Lisa and Sam. I mean, I understood the relationship enough for the film to work, but I don't know if I understood the relationship enough for the emotion of it to work, right? The werewolf scenes needed to have a little bit more punch to the change between when she's not a werewolf. I mean, in other words, the film itself, the atmosphere around it didn't really change, just her physicality and maybe what she does with it. But as far as the tone of the film, you didn't feel that shift of her character, and I think it misses that. I think that would have, if I could have caught that, it would have been brought some energy to it. And what's interesting, Dave. So, but in the end, I liked it. Right, I enjoyed it. I think I agree with Dave. I really like Patrick Ray's work, and I do like this film, but I do like Nailbiter and Arbor Day better. So, but Dave, one thing that's interesting that you and I talk about, like when we talk about scripts for horror films, if you take the creature or the monster or the horror out of it, do you still have a good film? Right?
It's the same film, essentially.
and with this one, I think it's almost too much that, right? Because without the werewolf film, without the werewolf part of it, it loses all its motivation and its energy, and its so it really, I guess what I'm trying to say is it really hinges on that werewolf working. So
I wonder if that you didn't need more instead of, because we didn't really get that. We didn't get that in our werewolf. Is that what you're thinking? You want more like?
I think it's a revenge film even without the werewolf, and the werewolf just adds to the power of the revenge. It's
right.
No, I see that. I see that. But it depends on the werewolf to exact that.
I kind of see what you're saying too. That's why it's not really something I thought about. But as I'm sitting here, I'm like, I would have liked to have seen her really go wolfy and get more feral.
And we're not talking about special effects. We're talking about body language, right?
Yeah, her. Yeah. Just like, for sure. That is something I think I would have really enjoyed. I think it would have, added a lot of energy to the film and made it feel more, energetic, as you put it, for lack of a better word. Really, yeah. Because it did feel very even keel. Even during the attack. That's what I was saying. That's why I focused on the attack, because I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. Like, the key to a movie is that it makes you feel something, That's how I get invested in something. So I did feel for the characters in a way and to a degree, but not to the degree that you should have when something so horrific was happening.
Right, right. I did like the dynamic between Lisa and Jessica, the daughter. You know, because they had this weird sexual tension thing going on.
Yeah.
That seemed to come out of nowhere, but it was like, oh, okay, well that explains a lot. And then they pull back, so you're wondering, was she faking it? And then maybe she isn't. And so I like the hesitation that it gave that character and all that. So. So there's a lot to like in the characters themselves and how totally despicable Sheriff Hawkins is.
Yeah, she's really horrible. Like, no, there's no redemption there. And the son too. The son and her. The daughter, I think she was kind of a product of nurture. With that environment. I think
Was nature.
Yeah, he's just a loser. I mean, he was horrible. Horrible. I was like, oh, God, dude.
Strangest crack whorehouse I've ever seen in a film.
Actually, I was confused at first. I was like, what is... Oh, okay, I see. Oh.
The guy outside, okay, small spoilers, and I'm just going to throw this. Maybe Patrick will answer it. The guy outside the door, did he just kill over? Or did Lisa kill him? Or did he just die?
Well, he had some blood on him, didn't he?
Yeah, there was definitely some blood on him.
But,
I thought there was.
okay. Maybe I missed that, but it was just like, he's alive when she leaves, and then the cop comes up and he's killed over. But he was like,
maybe he had an esophageal hemorrhage from
yes, the old esophageal hemorrhage.
That's actually in the script.
That'll plot.
I mean, you got to trim somewhere, so you had to trim that. I don't know. I thought it was funny. It's like, well, how did he die? I missed it.
We didn't see that, did we?
What do you think of the location, Jeff? Because you're kind of out that way.
Yeah.
I am geographically challenged, so I
am too. I'm like, is he?
Well, Kansas is
south of you, right?
borders part of Iowa.
Oh, okay.
Down in the corner. But it's, I think, I'm going to feel stupid if we don't.
That's my favorite.
Well, Missouri is south of us. Kansas is west of Missouri. I think there's a little corner there.
I'm trash with geography.
But yeah, it was a good example, I thought, of a small town. Although, I think the population actually was exactly the same as the population of the town that's where my address is, and there's no 3 jail, sheriff's building, and 3 cops there.
Oh yeah.
But on the other hand, if you could save money with your offspring, I guess. But I definitely identify with the terrain and the small town. If you don't drive on the main highways in Iowa, you go through a town like that every 10 miles.
Yes. All right. Well, there you go. That's our review.
Oh boy.
I Am Lisa. What we're going to do now is wrap things up. We're going to give our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. I've got a couple. I have a couple. But before we do, if you are listening, thank you so much. We hope you subscribe down below. Hit the like button. It's just a couple clicks, and everybody, it'll help YouTube send us out to the world, and more people will find us. If you'd like to comment about this, please do so down below. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you. We also want to thank our patrons who make this podcast, the Grissom Magazine podcast, possible. Also, the Horror News Radio podcast, Decades of Horror, and Heroes and Droids, among other things. So thank you all very much. If you're interested in Patreon, there is a link down below. There are some cool things that happen there too. Check the website out to find out what they're doing. All right, let's do it. Our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene. And Dave, I hope you've prepared your first Let us
Oh,
have
I am so prepared. I'm actually kind of glad I went into this not knowing it was a Patrick Ray film because I think my expectations would have been much higher because I am such a fan of his other stuff. This just seems kind of like a lateral step for Patrick here. I haven't really seen anything that he hasn't done in the previous two films that I mentioned.
it.
Didn't really see much growth in the writing. I'm not sure if he wrote the script for this.
He didn't.
don't know.
He did not.
Okay.
Ah,
So didn't see a lot of growth there. The acting, as you said, the acting was fine. The special effects were fine, given the fact that they made this for the cost of a trip to Disney World.
For a long
Can't complain much. So I just kind of came out of it lukewarm. I think the favorite scene, though, and I think really where a lot of some of the best acting is, where the biggest shine there, if you will, is I'm going to call it again, I don't want to be too spoilery, but let's call it the abuse scene when she goes to report what has happened at the bookstore. By the way, it was in a used bookstore, Jeff. You got to love that. You don't see.
I did.
Was
I did. But frankly,
Bookstore. I used to
I've
love.
never seen a bookstore that.
Yeah, what was the first edition book that they stole?
Clockwork
it was
Orange.
Clockwork Orange? Yeah.
Orange.
Yeah, but used bookstores used to be the shit. There's
I love them.
hardly any of them around anymore. So I really enjoyed that. But when she goes in there and ultimately ends up in a bad situation, I just thought that was really good. The interaction between her and the sheriff, and then the deputy, and how things escalate, and things go from bad to worse. I just thought that whole segment, that whole scene, was really well put together, character-wise, acting-wise, the way it was shot. I really like that. I mean, that's one of the things that made me kind of sit up and pay attention for a few minutes. So I'm going to go with that for my favorite scene, and I'm going to give this probably a little bit better a score than it deserves because I do like Patrick Ray so much. But I'm going to give it a 2.75.
Okay.
What? That's kind of low, I think.
I think it was more around a 2 or a 2.25. But I want to stick with my 2.75. Not a bad movie, not a great movie. It's a movie.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Crystal Cleveland, you're up next. Let us have it.
So I was going to give it the same score as Dave, but I feel like that's pretty, I mean, it's above average.
Right.
So
average.
so
movie.
yeah. Yeah, so 2.75 I think is good and it's justified. When he said, I'm going to make, Anyway, yeah, I think people are going to like it. I mean, I haven't seen a werewolf movie in a long time, and it's not going to deliver big bad mamba jamba werewolf, but it's okay, and it will entertain you. And if you can catch it, I'd say definitely catch it. It's not going to blow you away, but I think it will entertain you, and that's what movies have to do. That's all it has to do. I am going to say my favorite scene is there anybody in there? She's like, Lisa. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I like the song, but I love that scene. I think that you're right. The acting really helped push it forward.
Okay.
So, she was good. It's a sheriff. Yay.
All right, Jeff, you're next. Your final thoughts, your score, and favorite scene.
Well, like they said, I kind of like this. It's it shows its budget, I think, although it looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the cinematography is good. There's just some stuff around maybe the editing, but you know what? I'm gonna give this a 3 in terms of
nice.
micro budget films. I think he did a pretty good job with what he had. And my favorite scene, I'm gonna say the finger flick kill.
The finger flick kill.
In the bathroom.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
I don't want to explain too much, but
I
kind of went.
Boogers. Fucking
No, not that one. It had some style, I thought. You know,
It was it was a little different than what you would expect, right? You expect, a little more precise. Good work. All right. As you could probably tell by our hemming and hawing just slightly, that we do know and like Patrick Ray quite a bit. So this isn't his strongest work, Patrick. Sorry, but it's not bad work. So we're not saying that. It is. It's definitely entertaining. It's definitely more on the drama side. It's entertaining. The relationship between many of the characters is strong. With Lisa and her, I guess, antagonist, right? Now there is the sister character, right? Not her sister, but another character's sister. I won't say whose sister it is. That comes in and kind of is Captain Exposition, right? It's kind of what she is, but she's also a little bit part of the plot. And
I loved her though.
Yeah,
I think she
her, and I liked her quite a bit. I liked how understated she was in what she was saying and everything, and I thought every scene that she was in, I really liked. And I liked.
It's almost like you could have had more of that, right? Because she was backstory basically, which.
Yeah. And I thought the dynamic between her and Lisa was really strong. There's another character that's with the three Huckins that's out in the woods, and I'm still undecided about that character. It's very important to the story, but I'm still undecided about what I think about him. But in the end, it stuck the landing. I really like how it ended. I really liked the acting. I really liked the effort. It just didn't. I'm trying to think, Jeff, how we kind of communicated after we watched it. It was like you just wanted more, right? It left you wanting more out of the film, and that's kind of hard to get over.
Yeah. Well, so I texted you, and then I did some reading on it, and then I went, that's when I discovered it was a micro budget, and I think I have to. For me, anyway, I feel like I got to rate it for what it is, and
a lot of us do that.
So that changes my view of it a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of us give a sliding scale. Like a bigger budget film, has a little bit more to live up to than those on the lower end of the budgets. But as long as the acting is good, sometimes when the acting is so good and crazy, you lose it. But not this case. My score is, I think 275 is actually right on the nose. I like that score. And my favorite scene, okay. There's one character that's part of the crew that we don't hang out with a whole lot, but I think she's a mechanic.
Oh yeah.
We find out.
Oh, yeah.
And she there's kind of a Jason X homage there, maybe a little bit, without her, but without being Frost, as being something else. But I don't know. I thought that scene was a lot of fun. And then on top of that, they just come in and the guy comes in. Uh-oh. I was like, it's kind of funny. But there you go. That's our review of I Am Lisa. Check it out. It's on Redbox now as we were recording. Okay. And it's coming out in a few weeks. I think in March it's coming out on Blu-ray and on streaming. So check it out then.
Yeah, and check out Nailbiter and Arbor Demon as well.
I think they're both playing on Amazon now, aren't they?
Nailbiter is a VOD, but I think Arbor Demon might be.
Arbor Demon is, I believe. Yeah.
And we did cover both those films, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for those, right? So it's too bad.
You like them.
Yeah, I'm like taking notes.
All right, well, Jeff, Dave, Crystal, thank you for joining me. This was a great discussion. Happy New Year to everybody. I know we've said it to each other a number of times, but this 2021, I've been looking forward to it, and it started out really weird. It's been a weird week, ladies and gentlemen. It's a weird week.
I don't think you have to tell anybody that, Doc.
And I don't. I mean, I want it to be better, and it feels like it wants to be better.
I don't think it feels like it
But I
wants
don't know. I
to
don't
be
know if it's
better.
actually.
I think it wants to be worse. I think 2020 is like, hold my beer. Here we go.
Yeah, it's like this. They have all those memes, where you got like Jamie Lee Curtis in the front, and she's 2020, and then Michael's behind her 2021.
Yeah.
All right, but enough about that. Join us on our next episode, and we'll see if the next week is better. We got some great stuff lined up. We hope you join us there. Guys, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Night, folks.
Right.